There's something we're concerned about. This window is out of plumb by about that far, but the wall is perfectly plumb.
Gonna do the other side too, just to...
Oh, this side?
Yeah.
No, it's the same. It's exactly the same. The window is in. The window is in. Whatever that gap is at the top up there, about 1/4 of an inch. Because the wall is perfectly plumb. It's with it double. It's inside the bubble perfectly.
Yep.
This is the door that the Andersen window representative said is out of plumb. This is a brand new level. It's been checked, made sure that it's accurate, because you flip and it should read the same. That's the way you check a level. The bubble is perfectly in between. Perfectly in between. This door is perfectly plumb. He said it was out. He's a liar.
He also said that it was the panels were bowed, but he wouldn't address the reason the doors leaked.
Okay, check. Okay, do this one. This one is a door that he said was out. He said this door was out. Look at the bubble. Perfectly centered in between the lines. Perfectly. These doors are not out. Perfectly. And I'll flip the level over. Look. Perfectly in between. He's a liar. He's a liar and a cheat. I don't want liars and cheats in my house. This is door number 3. He said this one was out. This is perfect. Perfect as humanly possible.
It said that we need to reset the door.
And he said I need to reset this door and that door because they're out of level. Perfectly plumb. There's no way that you could get it any better. Humanly impossible. Liars and cheats. Do not buy Andersen windows and doors.
They don't stand behind their product. These doors have been a problem since we've received them. They leak when it rains. It's been nothing but a heartache, just horrible. We just wanted some really nice doors for our final house, and this is what we got. And then we have people come out and try to insult us and say that we don't know what we're doing.
Yes, you're talking about a huge insult to me, because I've been doing this stuff for like 40 years, and I know how to check a level. I know what is level, and I know that my son used my level, and he put it in there level, plumb and level. And I can't stand someone coming into my house and telling me that I did something wrong when they take their level. The way to check a level is you put it in a position on the wall. You hold it in that position. You see it's level, plumb. You don't have to do this, but you can take your finger and put it there so that it remains exactly the same spot. Flip the level over and then put it back up there. It reads the same. Their level did not. Their level read, okay, it's good.
On one side.
On one side. Then you flipped it over.
And then it was bad.
And it was off. Way off. Okay, this is the way you check if the level is reading level. Okay, you see that bubble? It's in the center. I'm going to hold my finger here so that I place it back in the same place. You flip it over. And see the bubble is in the same place again? And that's the way it should be. If a level is off, which theirs was, it will read differently when you flip the level. Same thing with plumb. When you're plumbing something, you see this is perfectly plumb. You don't have to do this, but you can. Hold your finger there. You flip the level over and put it back on there. And it should read the same. If it doesn't, which they didn't, their bubble was off. Their bubble was off 1/4 of a bubble from the time you flip it to the other side. So that means their level was not calibrated.
And unfortunately, I didn't think to videotape it while they were here. But anyway, that's the problem we're having. And that's why we haven't been doing very many videos, because we're waiting to get this resolved, and I'm just almost ready to throw in the towel. I mean, I want this house so bad, But all the issues we're having with these doors and windows is just heartbreaking, y'all. And they keep sending out these people called from Rossi Brothers who are remodelers or something. Or they do service for Andersen, but they don't send anybody out here actually from Andersen to help us. And we need some help with these windows and doors.
And the sad thing about these windows is this one seems to be working correctly. I can't put it, I guess I can put it on that style right there. But see, this one's plumb. It's sticking in about what it should, because you have a 1/2 inch that should protrude into the building, because that's what your sheetrock is going to be. And this is simulating what the sheetrock will be. Well, it should be flush with that, because when you put the trim on around the window, you want this to be flush with the edge of the jamb. Same here, you know, I mean, this one's just slightly off. I don't have one here. But the windows, every window I've ever set has been really, really close. I mean, it hasn't been perfect. Like this one's not exactly perfect. And this one's off quite a bit, actually, from what I would say, my standards of putting a window in. This is off quite a bit, although it's just like 1/8 of an inch or so. But, you know, you can flex that one just a little, not a lot. But this window is plumb. And if we go to the other window, which is the window that we're having problems with, they sent out a new box of flanges, and they were going to install them, but they had never have installed them. But this window here is way out of plumb. If you can see on the side here, you can pull it out to where it's plumb. You can see it's like 1/4 of an inch or so. And what is happening is that flange is warped or something, and you can't push this window in or out. You can't push it. It's too hard. The man that came out here goes, "Oh, you can flex that flange. It's flexible." And he pushed on it. It didn't flex because it's not that flexible. It's not going to move that much. Because if you look at this, it's well over 1/4 of an inch. Because that should be flush. That edge of this jamb should be the thickness of this, because that's 1/2 an inch. That's what it should protrude into the building. It's not. That right there tells you that the flange, something is wrong with it. Because these are 4 9/16 jambs, because I confirmed that with the paperwork that the windows are supposed to be. 4 9/16 jambs, which means it's like a 1/16 off, because it should be 4 1/2, but the 1/16 is not that big a deal. But here we are. This window is not.
For the price we paid for these windows and doors, they should be right.
Yeah, if you look at this, you can see this one is right on, well, you know, close enough. And this one is like off because it needs to come in. And this one, at the top, both of them are off. So that means that that window is, the window flanges or something are off. I can't get a good, and this stud is plumb. You can see the stud is plumb. It's hard to get. This is plumb over here too. You can see it's plumb. So the wall's not out of plumb. And they were saying that I should shim this window. And I said, "Well, you don't have to. You know, you don't have to shim the window." And when I was speaking of that, they say that you should probably shim the side here. Well, if the jamb is crooked, which this jamb, believe it or not, is almost perfect. You can see that there's no gap at any point in between that window. The jamb is straight. If the jamb was not straight, then you would shim it to make it straight. But their description in the Andersen install says that you should put a shim here if the jamb is out.
If necessary.
If necessary. But the thing is, though, they don't tell you how to attach that shim. Because if you look at this, there's a plastic jamb there that these windows go in. This is a plastic insert in the jamb. You don't put screws in this. You don't put nails, you don't put the screws. So they did show me that you can take these sashes out, both sashes out, and then you can remove this insert. But nowhere in their descriptions or paperwork or anything tells you to remove the sashes and remove the jamb liner in order to put anything into that. But this is a small window, and a small window does not necessarily have to have shims. Now, in the past, when I set wooden windows, and in the old days when they set wood windows, they did not shim the jambs because you had weights that would go up and down. Now they might, shim, but they might put a spacer at the bottom of the window to space the window so it's spaced within the opening of the rough opening on the sill. But I didn't put any on the sill because I felt that the nailing flanges would hold the window, which they will. And then when you put the inside trim on, that's another insurance that the window will be held from coming down, or the jamb from bowing or whatever. Now, I'm not opposed to putting, and I should have put a spacer at each of these.
Which can be done.
In which that can be done, but you know, a spacer is different than a shim, because a spacer is the thickness all the way through. It's the same thickness. It's like 3/16 of an inch all the way through. A shim tapers, has a wedge shape to it. So this is a spacer, not a shim. And I want to reiterate that. This is a spacer, not a shim.
And then when he showed us the paperwork about putting the shims in, he was referring to a 5-foot window, which we don't have a 5-foot window. He also said that he didn't put any flashing, or what do you call it?
Yeah, that's it.
Flashing
Yeah.
underneath the window, which I don't know if you can see it on this, but it definitely is taped.
It's right there. It's taped.
It's taped in there.
Now, these windows could have been raised slightly a bit. I mean, the spacer could have been, I used a automotive prying tool at these points in order to, because when you put a window in, you make sure that it's centered right to left and up and down. Now, it could go up a little bit more. You could put like a 1/4 inch shim here, I mean a 1/4 inch spacer here and here, not a shim, but a spacer. You can put a 1/4 inch spacer here. It'd be fine. And if you do that, you would put the 1/4 inch spacer on the sill, set the window on the spacer, and then level and plumb as you need. See, that's level or plumb. That's level. You level the window with these points here, and then you make certain that it's relatively the same reveal in the opening. Like I said, it could go up just a little bit more. It has enough room there. You could, do a 1/4 inch spacer.
But that's not gonna,
But that's not gonna make this. Those spacers have nothing to do with how the window goes in or out. It goes right or left, up or down, but not in or out. In or out's this way, over and up and down. Shims or spacers have nothing to do with this being stuck in too far. That is the flange, because the flanges dictate. A flange is a piece of, they call it nailing flange or nailing fin. They are mounted on the outside into the jamb, so that these are to maintain a certain spacing of the window jamb protruding into the house, into the building, or whatever it is. There's something wrong with these. The placement of these is what's wrong. So whenever you set a window, and I've set many of them, trust me, I've set a lot of them. Always we did the same procedure. There was two people, one on the inside doing the up and down, leveling plumb, and there's the other one outside waiting for the person on the inside saying, okay, nail the right-hand corner because it needs to go up. So you nail the corner or left-hand corner, whichever way that it needed to do. You would nail the corner, let the other person inside get it level and plumb, and then you would nail off the flanges. The flanges has always dictated your spacing on your jamb. Always. That's just what they do. That's what they're there for. They are set at a distance that jamb should not go any farther into the building than what that spacing is. But as you see with these, it does. Okay. Oh, one other thing before we go.
It's still wet down there.
You see the reveal here on this door? You see how large a gap that is? Normally, you have a 3/16 gap. And that's what you should have approximately here. But these gaps are so huge right here. I mean, they're just like unusually wide. These now, that's just way too much. And these doors have adjustable hinges. Well, something is off so bad that this door has been adjusted over as far as it can go that way. These gaps are just way off. Way too much. Okay. So now that we established that the doors are plumb, they've always been plumb. You know?
Yep. So we gotta submit something to Andersen again.
I'm telling you, I mean, I cannot believe that Andersen would send somebody out here to review the doors that doesn't know the basics of how to check a level to make certain that it is correct before you use it. And I'm telling you, you can go to a store and take a level off the shelf that's brand new. And I've checked those. And in fact, we may do a video of where we go back to a store and we'll take different levels and we'll check them. But you can check a level that's brand new. And you should, before you purchase a level, you should check it on the floor or a wall or a rack or whatever that's there by you to make certain that it reads the same when you flip it. And flip it up and down. Because I'm telling you, they're not always correct. That's it.
So check your levels, make sure they're good. Don't buy Andersen doors and windows.
Yeah.
Thank you. Everybody have a nice day. Like, subscribe, and share. Hopefully we'll be back out here soon and get some more stuff done, but waiting on the doors and window stuff and the weather. So anyway, again, thanks. Have a nice day. Bye.